Men should not play sports against women. I'm not going to get into all the bullshit that's going on out here in the world today. Everywhere you go, they're going to be screaming at you.
Yes.
How's your,
yes.
Dan, how's your doing?
Stephen A. Smith got a shot to be president?
Hell no. Come on, stop it.
Come on. Trump did?
I wanted Bobby Knight's ass so bad. I was up for like a week. I said, we got to win one game, and I get to exact my revenge on Bobby Knight. And Chuck Person came out and up the whole game plan, jacking it up from everywhere.
We got the great Charles Barkley on. There you go.
Hey, Dan, it's not that much important stuff happening. Tell them to knock it off.
I do want to ask you this, because even the commissioners chimed in. You know, I think anytime people talk about the NBA media, they're talking about you. Have you had conversations, you, Shaq, Kenny, Ernie? Are you guys too negative? Is that the perception that the commissioner and people, players around the NBA feel like? Are they pointing at you guys directly?
I never worry about that. My job is to bring the game to the consumer. I think I've been doing this a long time. I see what's happening. I talk about it. I don't worry about what the players think, because players think anytime you criticize them or you say anything they don't want to hear, they think it's criticism. Facts are facts. So I never worry about what the players think. I'm trying to talk to the fans at home.
Did you worry about what people thought when you were a player?
Well, sometimes you have to ask yourself. Well, it's interesting. That's a great question, because the first thing that Dr. J taught me, he says, you have to ask yourself, is the criticism fair? Some guys, and the media, like a Skip Bayless, somebody I've never liked at all. Like sometimes it's personal, or they're just trying to get clickbait. But the first question you have to ask yourself is the criticism fair? And I can honestly say, in my 25 years, no player has ever said I said something personal about him, because I never talk about their personal life, or I never get personal. My criticism or critique, whatever how you want to phrase it, is always about how you are as a player. And I think I've been fair, and so I'm in a good place. I don't ever worry about, because players like today, because we're raising the AAU generation, which I hate more than anything in the world. Anytime you say anything negative, they think it's like unfair. And sometimes criticisms are fair, but they don't want to hear that.
You told me a legendary story about Moses Malone saying, well, Charles, you're fat and you're lazy.
Yes.
Get your ass going, right?
Yeah. It's like I was a number 5 pick in the draft, and I wasn't getting to play. And Moses, who was the best, probably the most important person in my NBA career, because that's the thing. And you coached before, you can have success, but that doesn't mean you're gonna reach your full potential. And I wasn't getting to play, and he told me I was fat and I was lazy. And I number one, I didn't realize I could lose 50 pounds, but he took me because I was in college for 3 years, and I led to SEC in rebounding every year. So I was having success. It wasn't like I was a bum. I mean, obviously I was the number 5 pick in the draft, but when you get to the NBA, you're playing against the best of the best of the best. And I wasn't getting to play. And I asked him one day, could I come talk to him? We just happened to live in the same building. And he told me I was fat and lazy. And I ended up, he worked with me and made me lose 50 pounds, and the rest is history. But can you imagine you telling one of these guys today they're fat and lazy? They might kill you, number one, but they're gonna hate you for the rest of your life. And so, like, am I out of shape? And should I get in better shape? Yeah, I need to get in better shape. I didn't, obviously it hurt me, but when he told me that, I let me start getting in shape. And then when I lost like the first 10, the first 20, I was like, man, he's right. I'm in better shape. I work harder. I can sustain it longer. But just the notion that everything we say about these guys is criticisms, like sometimes it's just fair.
Was Nico, speaking of criticism, Nico Harrison got big time criticized for the Doncic trade. Is he vindicated by what happened to the Lakers in round one?
No, we got to see that. That's one good thing about sports. We're going to get to see it play out. Nico did a fabulous job last year. I thought that people gave Luka and Kyrie way too much credit last year, but the three trades he made, bringing in PJ, Daniel Gafford, and there's another big guy he brought in. That was the reason the Mavs, because if you go back and look at the season and being honest, they were like a 500 ball club. And I actually said this on television. I said the Dallas Mavericks had the best trading deadline of any team. Yeah, that's on record. I said, man, they had a great trade deadline. When they went out and got those three big guys, it changed the whole dynamic of their season. They were mediocre until then. So he didn't get the credit he deserved last year. And let me say this: the whole Luca thing, yeah, it was a amazing and crazy trade, but the Dallas Mavericks know him better than anybody.
Yes.
You know, he's a heck of a player, but the Dallas Mavericks had to give him $350 million. And they're like, he's not going to get in shape, blah, 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 blah. And it's easy for us to second guess on the outside because we're not with people every day. They just felt like, you know what, if we get this guy $350 million, we don't know how he's going to act the next 5 or 6 years. So it was, but the good thing about it, we're going to be able to watch what happens in the next 3 to 5 years because if and it's a big if the Mavericks can get healthy, they are a championship contender. And now the Luka situation in LA is going to be interesting because they got LeBron for at least another year, and they're not contenders either. But we're going to be able to watch it in live time and see what happens.
You said LeBron, if they lose that series, shouldn't be considered a top 5 player. You sticking by that?
No, I never said that. First of all, I don't know where that came from.
No.
I've always said LeBron on my list. He's number 7 all time. I got Wilt, Kareem, Bill Russell, Michael and Oscar. I got Kobe 6 and LeBron 7. I've never said I saw fools talking about that. When I
Yeah.
said fools, I'm talking like I saw Gilbert Arenas, who's an idiot, talking about everybody's got a podcast trying to be important and significant. I've said LeBron is the 7th greatest basketball player in my opinion, and that's not like I'm saying he's the 20th. But I didn't care about that series. I thought they would win that series. I was actually kind of surprised. I didn't think they were contenders, but I didn't think they were going to win the championship.
One of the reasons I turned down, and you talk about this all the time, when I was at ESPN, they offered me 2 different radio national shows. And I said, I don't want to talk about LeBron James every freaking day or Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers or all the bullshit you got to talk about. I don't want to do that every day. Now you're going to ESPN, and you've been critical of ESPN, particularly their coverage of the Lakers. What are your thoughts as this is your last season heading over?
Yeah, Dan, I'm not going to change. I'm going to do what I want to do. Nobody's going to tell me
Yeah.
what to say or what to do. I thought I get upset. They're like the Lakers are contenders. I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not contenders. Kendrick Perkins, who don't know his ass from a hole in the wall. He's like, the Lakers are contenders. Lakers are contenders, and I said they're not contenders. And clearly, if you lose in the first round, you're not a contender. But I'm not going to change my personality. Ain't nobody. They can't fire me. I make too much money to get fired. So they can't fire me. And first of all, they fire me. They got to pay me for 7 years, and I'm gonna quit way before then. But if they want to fire me, I would love for them to do that. The only decision we've been making is how long I'm gonna work, and I've been going back and forth with TNT for the last 2 months, whether I'm gonna work 2 years or 3 years. But if I really wanted to, I could stay for 7 years, which there's no chance of that happening. Zero, zero. But I have made it. I'm making a decision whether I'm going to stay 2 years or 3 years, but it's more likely 2 years. But if they're going to fire me, they'd have to pay me for 7, which they're not going to do because I make too much money. So I'm not worried about getting fired. And nobody at ESPN is going to tell me what to say or do. Period.
Your stuff with Shaq is great. And people think you hate each other, right? But but it does seem like it. Would you work with Perkins? You and Shaq have a great thing, and Kenny, obviously, it's the greatest show. It ain't even close. ESPN shows have sucked for years, and will you work with Perkins and Stephen A. and all those guys? Is that how it's set up? How's it set up for you guys?
Well, that's one thing that's been very interesting and frustrating for me. Uh, we actually don't have any idea this thing gonna work. We have no idea how much we're gonna work. We don't know who we're gonna work with. So that's, to be honest with you, that's actually been one of the most frustrating things, and one of the reasons I hesitate to sign off on a deal. We've been fighting behind closed doors. I'm like, I'm not taking no job, and I know how. Number one, the most important thing is how much I'm going to work. That's been my biggest gripe, to be honest with you. Like, well, how much am I going to work? I mean, the notion that I'm gonna work more as I get older, that's just not gonna happen. And like I say, I think I'm gonna stick it out for 2 more years. They're trying to talk me into 3 more years. I'm like, right now, I'm gonna give your guys 2 years. That's the best I can do because my biggest concern, I'm not even worried about ESPN or anybody like that. I'm worried about the people here at Turner. I want to make sure
Yeah.
they got a job. That was my only concern because this was supposed to be my last year. And I didn't think we were stupid enough to lose the NBA contract. It would have been a smooth transition for me to walk away at the end of the year. The only reason I'm hanging around is to make sure the people who I love and work with for the last 25 years got a job. That's the only reason. And it has nothing to do with ESPN or TNT. I just want to make sure the people I work with got a job. Like I say, I originally thought, I didn't know the people I worked for here at Turner were so stupid that they were going to lose the NBA. Because, like I say, I was going to pass the torch to Vince Carter or Jamal Crawford, two amazing guys. So I thought this was going to be it for me, Dan, to be honest with you. And then when they screwed up and lost the NBA deal, I was like, oh, how do I keep these people employed? And they came up with this thing with ESPN. And now I'm just trying to decide either I'm going to stay here 2 years or 3 years.
Hey, I want to go on the court with the NBA. Is where's Kevin Durant and his legacy? Is he being tarnished? Where are you at with him? You mentioned your top 7 guys. Where are you at with what's happened recently with Durant, with the Suns, and of course with Brooklyn?
Yeah, Kevin's a great player. I think that his legacy is complicated. I don't like any guys who join super teams. I'm biased against LeBron when it comes to comparing him to Michael, joining Dwayne and those guys. Because, when we had this debate, and LeBron's amazing and spectacular, but I was like, Michael didn't join anybody. He just kept getting his ass kicked and got bigger and got stronger and finally knocked the wall down. And, Kevin, who's a great player, other than the fact when he joined the Warriors, he hasn't been successful anywhere else. And I don't hold that against him, but he wants to be considered in that list. He's not on that list. He's not on that list. He's a great, great player, but he's not on that list. He wants to be like, why he's not in the GOAT conversation? Because you're not, plain and simple. You had great success when you joined the Warriors, but not only did you not have success, you actually flamed out in those other places. You got swept last year in the playoffs. You didn't even make the play in this year. So those are just facts.
It's funny. I tell people when people ask me who's best players I've seen, I include you in that for a variety of reasons. One of the reasons is how great you were in college in 1984. I've talked to you about that before. I used to go to the Olympic trials every single night and go watch you guys. And then here's what you did. You left the team where Philadelphia, where you were great, team was great. You went to Phoenix, where you went to the finals. I mean, that's kind of what you're supposed to do as a great player, right? All of a sudden take another, if you're going to leave a team, go take another team to the finals. Don't take another team to where you don't even make the freaking playoffs. That's how I look at it.
Listen, I 100% agree. I don't hold guys not winning the championship against them because it's a team game, first and foremost.
Yeah.
But you got to have some success. Like in my teams in Philadelphia, when I finally got out of there, I was like, yo, man, I got to get out of here. I want to be competitive. And in my first 3 years in Phoenix, we lost to the Bulls for the championship, and then we lost to the Rockets, who won back-to-back championship. But you can't not be a zero successful. So listen, man, I had a great, great career. I was so lucky and blessed to play in the NBA for a lot of years. And like I said, I don't hold guys not winning the championship because it's a team game, and it's complicated when you're trying to win. I mean, everything has to go great. Like Chris Paul, to me, is one of the most underrated players in NBA history. Russell Westbrook, I love that guy. But Karl Malone, obviously Patrick Ewing, these guys are some of the all-time greats, but they just were never on a team good enough to win it.
Let me go to Becky Hammond. A lot of people thought Becky Hammond should be considered or should have been considered for the Spurs job. Where are you at with a female coach? You think the NBA is ready, players, coaches, everybody's ready for a female coach to be the head coach?
That's a great question.
I'm a smart guy.
I have no problem with a female head coach. I have no problem with it whatsoever. Hey, listen, that's a really good job because you look at Castle, who just won the Rookie of the Year. You got Wembanyama, you got Darren Fox, you got two lottery picks, if I'm correct. So you screw around and get Cooper Flag or another couple good players. Because that boy Cooper Flag, he's like the real deal. When I was studying tape, getting ready for March Madness, I was very impressed with him. But you think about it, if they screw around and get two lottery picks, and one of them's Cooper Flag, one of the kids from Rutgers, or some other good players, the Spurs could be good for the next 10 to 15 years. So it's going to be a very interesting draft lottery Monday. Very interesting. But I have no problem with a woman being a head coach. But that Spurs job, man, that's a good job.
That's a really good job. All right, I want to go to the All-Star game. You guys, Bird, everybody, the All-Star game's basically dead. Players don't want to play. You're a hockey fan. You saw what hockey did. Is it time to maneuver something in the All-Star game, United States, international, and would that even solve it? What is your thoughts currently on that?
Well, I've been saying that for 5 to 7 years, Dan.
Yeah,
I think international against the United States would be fantastic. And I do. I think international against the United States would be fantastic. And I'll tell you the truth, and I'll be honest with you. I think the only reason they don't want to do it, they scared the United States going to get their ass kicked. That's my honest opinion. I've been saying that for 5 to 7 years. But if you put Joker, Wembanyama, Shea Gildress, Luca, Jamal Murray, I'm thinking, I can't think of everybody right off the hand. I think it'd be
Hartenstein,
fantastic.
he's pretty good.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying, where's he from?
He's from Germany.
Okay, listen, I'm telling you, I've been saying this for 5 to 7 years. I think the only reason they don't want to do it, they're scared the United States is going to get their ass kicked. I truly believe that. Because, like I say, if you give me Joker, Luca, Wemby, Shea, you give me those four to start, I'm going to pick up some guys off the street, and we're going to be pretty competitive against the United States. I think Carl Anthony Town is from Dominican Republic. I mean, listen, the international team. But like I say, if you just do Wemby, Joker, Luca, and Shea Gildress, that's a pretty good starting four right there. So I would love to see that. I've been saying that. But I think, honest, this is just me talking. I honestly think that the only reason they haven't done it so far is they're scared the United States is going to lose.
Are you going to do what Shaq did? Are you going to do is Michael ever going to give, $10 million in North Carolina and be assistant GM? I saw Shaq's doing that with Mike Bibby. Will you ever do something like that with Bruce at Auburn, or will Michael ever do something like that at North Carolina?
Well, it's more important for me when I get a charity. Like I just gave $10 million to HBCUs. That stuff is way more important to me. I've given $10 million to HBCUs and things like that. And I just gave a couple $1 million to Blight in my hometown and in Birmingham to tear down old houses and rebuild them. That stuff is way more important to me than joining the cesspool that's college athletics. Um, the, we're such a shitty country, Dan. We have ruined college athletics, and I don't want to get in that cesspool. This notion where you got to come up with tens of millions of dollars a year to play kids to play basketball and have them be free agents every year and transfer to another school and get more money every year. Like, we don't even get to do that in the NBA. Can you imagine if players in the NBA got to be a free agent every year? I'm not opposed to players getting paid. I want to make that clear. But this notion that we got to give college kids tens of millions of dollars a year, and basketball is the worst because you're only going to get a great player for 6 months. I don't even see how that you're going to get the return on investment. I don't even see how that, like, if I give a guy 3 or 4, 5, 7, now some guys are getting 6, 7, $8 million. I'm not sure how I get my return on investments if he's only going to be in my college for 1 year. And you're probably not going to win the championship. So the NCAA, they're a bunch of idiots and fools. They have ruined the sport. I don't know how you put the toothpaste back in the tube. So no, I'm not doing that. I prefer to give it to stuff that's important and significant to me.
I asked AD that one time. They asked me to give. I said, what am I getting out of this? I mean, I see players at my school in bars. I see night before game. One of the starting players at Indiana is sitting at a casino. And I'm like, wait a second, is that my money that he's betting with? I mean, I said, what do I get out of it? Rich people don't become rich by wasting money. And I don't give a damn what level of rich you're talking about here. They don't. They don't.
Hey, listen, I said it all the time. People ask me why I drive a Kia. I says, Dr. J told me a long time ago, he says, everybody know who you are. You don't have to spend $200,000, $300,000 on a car. They're like, oh, that's Charles Barkley in a Maybach or a Bentley. They're like, oh, that's Charles Barkley in a Kia. Like, rich people are so much smarter than poor people. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. Poor people spend money they don't have. Rich people, they don't do that. Poor people always buy stuff that they can't afford. Stay within your budget. Like me, like, yeah, man, I'm not wasting money on cars and things like that. But to get back to your original point, hey, I love Auburn. I do. I would do anything for Auburn
Yeah.
within reason, but I'm not going to give Auburn millions of dollars so we can be good at football and basketball. That doesn't help my life in any capacity. Because let me tell you something. Black and broke does not work in any state. Guam, District of Columbia, all 50 states. I never want to be poor and black. That does not work.
Speaking as a white guy, poor and white don't work either, brother. I mean, poor and white. I'm not saying I've been poor and white. My parents were teachers, but poor and white doesn't work, my man. I grew up in Gary, Indiana. I've seen both sides. It don't work either way, my man.
First of all, you're right. Number one, thanks to your mom and dad for being teachers. That's really amazing. I do a lot of work with teachers, and man, thank you. But it's interesting you said it there because the general public, they're so stupid because of politics. They go around arguing. They fall for the tricks of the Republicans and the Democrats. They're both awful people, the Republicans and the Democrats. But the public is so stupid. They run around talking about, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat. I said, man, y'all think they care about y'all? Politics about rich people screwing poor people. They want all the poor people to fight with each other. It makes me laugh. And I've said this before. I'm not just saying it on your podcast. The general public is so stupid. They go around arguing about who's a Democrat and a Republican. I said, man, both of these parties suck. It's rich people making poor people fight and thinking they're all in the same boat. They're not in the same boat. We're not in the same boat. So it makes me laugh. I love your question because you're right. It's really rich people making poor people think, well, we're in the same boat. You got to vote Republican or you got to vote Democratic. I'm like, you people are the biggest damn idiots in the world. They're not in the same boat with you. They just want you to think that. They just want you to fight with the poor people. Blame all your problems on black people, immigrants, and some other group. But they're just stupid, and it makes me laugh. I'm like, y'all are so stupid. It's just poor people getting screwed by rich people. That's what politics are.
Charles, I'm a news freak, and when I was a kid, I was reading the Gary Post-Tribune, and the mayor of Gary, Indiana, who I don't know what the hell he was making, right? They did a story that he owned 3 houses on lakes in Michigan. I'm like, wait a second here. Like, I'm like 10 years old thinking, how the fuck does this happen?
Hey, man. I just had an argument with a friend of mine because last year we came within one vote of passing gambling in Alabama, sports betting. And they called me and says, hey, can I call a couple of politicians and see if I can swing their vote? I said, I'll do anything because we need it because Alabama has the lowest property tax in the country. It'll really help our schools and things like that if we got gambling. And so even before I made a single phone call, they killed it. They killed gambling for another 4 years. And I was talking to a couple of people who was on the committee, and it's like, it's a shame that they killed gambling without having a vote on it. I says, well, they killed it for a reason. I says, it's like they don't want everybody to eat. He says, you're saying they killed it because they don't want everybody to eat. I said, yeah, they don't want everybody to eat. He said, so they'd rather everybody starve. I says, they're not starving. That's the problem. The politicians aren't
That's right.
starving. I said, see, that's how stupid y'all are. He says, let's pass gambling, because they came within one vote last year. They wanted me to call some people, I told you. I said, and when it got killed, they said, man, they don't want everybody to eat. I said, what are you talking about? It's like, this could have helped a lot of people eat. They said they'd rather have everybody starve. I said, that's what you don't get. They're not starving. Everybody else is starving. And if the general public was smarter, they would know, like, we're not in the same boat. The politicians, whether you and see, that's the thing. They make you villainize a different party. I said, they're all the same. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, the people in charge and got power, they got money and access to it. They're not in it. See, they want you to think like we're in the same boat. We're all together. We're not in the same boat, and we're not all together. They live in different houses than we do.
Politicians can take $274,000 a year salaries and put it into 5 houses over $5 million. Just think about that for a second, right? I mean, like, that's magic. That's like David Copperfield shit.
And then what really bothers me, like, they know what to. It's automatic. They know what to invest in. I'm like, well, they know what to invest in because they fixed the game. Like, they should not be able to invest in certain things while they're in office. But all of a sudden, jobs that are making $100,000 a year when they leave, two things. And Warren Buffett said this one time, which is great. He says, I could solve the budget in like a day. Because one time you get elected, you get like free health care and dental care for the rest of your life. No job does that except the politicians. Think about that. Warren Buffett said that one time. He says, these people who we elect, if you get elected one time, you get free health care and dental care for the rest of your life, which is stupid. Dan, we don't get that. When we get fired, you don't get all the perks. So people who ran one time and got elected get free health care and dental care for the rest of their life, which is totally bullshit, I might add. But man, all they do is the public, they're stupid. The public is stupid. Now, most of the people are smart, but there's a small fraction that are just stupid. And they're going to vote one way or the other, don't do any homework. I consider myself an independent. I voted for Democrats, I voted for Republicans. But I wish the general public had any sense instead of just being stupid morons and idiots.
I grew up in a steel town, and I was always a Democrat. And then, in college, people, I didn't even know if Reagan was a Republican or Democrat. I didn't give a shit. And once I got in this job, I started paying attention. I'm an independent. I figure out I like you, I don't like you. I like your thought, I don't like your thought. Screw it. Hey, did you see this? I don't know if you saw this. Nike's been really good to me. Nike would take me on trips. I made some money. But they're helping fund. I'm curious your thoughts on this. They're helping fund a gender. This is a gender affirming care study on young boys, with the goal is impairing boys to be able to come down to participate against women. Have you seen this thing?
I have not, but I'm gonna make this very simple for you, Dan. Men should not play sports against women. I'm not going to get into all the bullshit that's going on out here in the world today. It's interesting. I always sit back and look at the stuff, and let me tell you something. I love gay people. I love transgender people. I'm against any form of discrimination. Period. Because you can't say like if you are against. I love my gay friends and I love my transgender friends, but I'm not going to get into all this stuff that's going around. Men should not play sports against women. If anybody think that, I think they're stupid. I'm not, like I say, I support the gay community 100%. I support the transgender community 100%. But I do not, under any circumstances, zero, think that men should play sports against women. And if anybody have a problem with that, they're gonna have to get over it because I'm not gonna change my. I'm not gonna change. I just think it's wrong. Period.
I'm with you. I couldn't. You said it perfectly. If somebody doesn't like it, get over it. I always say this: there's 350 million people in this country. We're going to have different opinions on shit, right? I mean, if you don't like my opinion, get over it.
And that doesn't see. I'm not one of these people. If people disagree with me, I'm good with that. Hey, we disagree.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at you. I don't hate you. I'm not gonna call you names because that's just silly and stupid. But I'm never gonna think it's all right for men to play sports against women. And I don't even think that's controversial. That's the thing that's
I
funny.
don't
Like
either.
some of this stuff make like when you see these debates on television, I'm like, yeah, men shouldn't play sports against women. I'm done. I don't want to hear you try to explain it to me. No. I don't want to hear it. I'm not gonna argue with you. Men shouldn't play sports against women. I'm done. Don't try to tell me this or this or this. Period.
I always say there is some shit you should argue about, but that ain't one of them. That's
Hey, Dan, I love that answer. There's a lot of shit we can argue over. That ain't one of them.
that ain't one, brother. That
That ain't one
ain't
of them.
one. Hey, did you ever reach out to Bill Belichick? Have you reached out to him yet?
I have not because I saw some. I've been reading from a distance that he's trying. Apparently, he's trying to do some things. Hey, you know what? Dan, me and Bill have been friends. We met when he was with the Cleveland Browns. He's been a great friend. I love the guy. And we always joke, hey, I was friends with him before. I was friends with him when he got fired. I wasn't joining the guy who won all the Super Bowls. I joined him when he got fired. That's how long we've been friends. So I admire him. I respect him. He's the greatest college. Nick Saban's the greatest college football coach ever, and Bill's the greatest pro coach ever. But man, this thing is so messy. But I see he's made some things happen. Because you know what? The one thing you never want to do. It's going to be over for everybody at some point, and we don't. Right now, he's the greatest coach ever, but we're not even talking about that right now.
Right.
And that's what bothers me. That's what really bothers me. He's the greatest coach ever. We're not even talking about that anymore. And I hate to see it end like that because that's going to be the lasting memory right now. And I hate that.
It is right now, unless all of a sudden North Carolina does what my school, Indiana, did, get in the college football playoff, turn a basketball, school around like that, which, maybe he will. Hey, Stephen A. Smith got a shot to be president?
Hell no. Come on, stop it.
Come on. Trump did?
Hey, Dan, knock it off right now. Stop it. Come on, man. Don't do that. Don't do that. Stephen A.
Hey,
come
he's
on.
He's on a tour. He's on the tour. He is on the tour that they all want to be. Meet the Press, Fox and Friends, MSNBC. He's on the presidential media tour at this point.
Stephen A. is a friend of mine, but he needs to stop right now. Like, my friends close to me give me a lot of credit, and I'm not blowing my own horn. I want to be on TV as less as possible, to be honest with you, Dan. That's why I only do a couple commercials a year. I don't go on a bunch of shows. Less is more. Because the more you do, the less people take you serious. And I don't feel the need to grab every dime. I don't feel the need to grab every dime at my disposal. Like I've been arguing with my agent. He says, we could do 5 to 7 commercials a year. I said, we're gonna do 2 commercials a year. That's it. I don't want to be on TV all the time. I get sick of seeing myself doing March Madness, but I don't want to be on TV all the time. And I don't do a bunch of TV stuff because I don't want to, because people get sick of you. That's my number one thing. People will get sick on you. So I don't want to be on TV more. I want to be on TV less.
I don't think that's the Stephen A. Smith method right now. I don't think that's his mentality,
listen,
Charles.
Listen, that's not. As a matter of fact, I was in the studio last night, and I see he's going to be on Law and Order tonight. I mean, he's already on General Hospital. He's already on General Hospital. Now he's going to be on Law and Order tonight. And I was just laughing. I'm like, yo, man, you're starting to be too much right now. Like, you're going to be on CNN. You're going to be on Fox and Friends. Now you're on General Hospital. Now you're on Law and Order. I'm like, yo, man, knock it off. Stop being on every TV show. Because at some point, people are going to regret. They're gonna get sick of you, and you're gonna be like, "Yeah, I probably did too much." But once you do too much, it's too late, and then people don't take you serious. And I think he's got to be careful in that aspect.
You know, speaking of advertisements, one time they asked me on my radio show, "What would it take for you to endorse an erectile dysfunction medicine?" And I said, 10 grand a month, just throwing it out there. And they said, all right. I said, man, I cannot do that. I cannot be the dick pill guy coming out of the Pacer game or coming out of the Colts game. Hey, Dan, how's your dick? You know, I can't be that guy, Charles. I couldn't do it. What's the craziest thing they've ever asked you to do?
That's a great question. Number one, I wouldn't do the dick thing. I'm not gonna lie.
I can't do.
I don't want people straight like I don't want people like no matter how much money they pay me. I don't want to think people my dick don't work. I put a price tag on that. So I would never do that. I would never do Depends. Even if I needed Depends, I wouldn't do it. No. Hey, listen. Even if I was pissing on myself, I'd rather piss on myself to make money wearing Depends. I'm not gonna lie. So
yes,
I draw the line on dick pills and Depends. I'm actually doing I'm doing a commercial right now for weight loss. It's called ro.com /Chuck. It's the way you get on the way. Like I'm trying to get because Dan, I gained 100 pounds when I got my new hips. 100 pounds, and I've lost 50. And I got about another 30 to 40 more to go. So I've been taking Zepbound, which is a weight loss drug. And I'm hoping anybody out there who's overweight would get on this program because, man, my doctor told me ain't no fat old people. He said, Chuck, you got to start losing this weight because ain't no fat old people. And if they're fat and old, they got a bunch of health issues. So I joined the row like a month ago because I want to lose this other 50 pounds because I can't lose it working out. I mean, because I'm 62.
Yeah, no.
My metabolism sucks, but I want to get this because I want to be here. I want to be here, and I encourage anybody out there who needs to lose weight to go to road.co/Chuck to get that weight off you, man. Because, man. Ain't no fat. Dr. Andrews, my doctor, told me, ain't no fat old people, man. You got to get that weight off you. But there's, like I say, dick pills and Depends are probably the only no-go for me as far as commercials go, to be honest with you.
I said, man, $10,000 for me on a radio show a month was a lot of money. I just threw it out there thinking they would say, hell no. And they came back, yeah, we'll do that, Dan. I go, not a fucking chance, man. I am not.
Hey, you like, yeah, because the public, you got to worry about, you don't worry about the public, but you got to worry about them because everywhere you go, they're going to be screaming dick at you.
Yes.
How's your,
yes.
Dan, how's your dick doing? I mean, like,
right.
So the public can be cruel. Like I say, so dick pills and Depends are probably, that's where I would definitely draw the line. Definitely.
Hey, back to one other thing before I let you go. This does piss me off. And I you mentioned it earlier, guys playing against women's sports, but this drives me batshit crazy. adults getting these surgeries for their little kids to transition when they're like 8, 10 years old. Charles, that makes me batshit. Don't fuck with kids, Charles. That's my thing. Don't fuck with kids in all this transgender transitioning stuff. If you're an adult and you do it, cool. Great. But why do we fuck with kids?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like I say, I support the gay community and the transgender
Yeah.
community a great deal. You can be who you want to be. But I don't even think anybody knows who they are as a young kid. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody knows. Uh, um, so I think we have to be very careful because you don't want to put kids in a disadvantageous. I think I don't know, disadvantageous situation because hey, when you get older, you can make your own decision. But I don't. I think we have to be very careful screwing around with kids. Because
Yeah.
they're not fully developed as a person. And hey, if you want to transgender when you get older, God bless you and do your own thing. But when you're a young kid, first of all, listen, as an adult, we really don't pay half the shit our kids say any attention. Not even on the transgender thing. Like most adults were like, yeah, my kids are pain in the ass. I'm not even paying them any attention. So you have to be very careful with that.
Hey, Les, I've kept you way too long, man, but it's always fun talking to you.
We
Is it going
good,
to be
brother.
the
Hey,
Knicks and
I always appreciate you, Dan. We good.
Knicks Pacers? My Pacers, man, I'm going Friday. I can't wait, man. Halliburton's a bad boy, overrated my ass.
Well, let me say this: the series is game one was a shocker. There were the Cavs blew it. Number one, game two, all those injuries. Man, that's just a really unfortunate situation. But nobody feels sorry for the Cavs. I talked about it last night on the show, Dan. I'm in a unique situation. I have been on two teams. I think I'm the only one in history been on two teams where you lost the first two games at home. I've been on two of them, and one series we won, and one series we lost. You better win game three. I remember when we were the number one seed in the West, and we lost the first two games against the Lakers. We were the number one seed. They came into Phoenix and beat us the first two games, and we were shell shocked. And I remember Paul Westphal saying, "Guys, just relax. Win the next game, and it'll flip the script because they will feel pressure on game four, and we're gonna win the series." But obviously nobody's ever came back from 3-0. But we won game three and came back and won the series. And then when I played for the Rockets, we won the first two games. Excuse me, not the Rockets. When I played for the Suns, we won the first two games in Houston. And I remember telling the guys, we got to win this series at home. We can't go back to Houston 2-2. And we end up losing those game three and game four. And we end up losing the series in seven. But when you win those first two on the road, you got to close them out. So the Knicks, and I said this last night, the Knicks game three is a must win. And for your Pacers, game three is a must win. Because
I
if they
agree.
lose that game, the pressure reverts back to the other team. So even though the Pacers up 2-0, I look at game three and same thing with the Knicks. Game three is a must win for both of those teams. And then the series is over.
I heard you say that last night, and I couldn't agree more. I was saying that on my show, my afternoon show in Indy. Same thing. Like, these teams are good. I think Cleveland's like 30-11 in the regular season on the road. You know what I mean? So they don't give a shit. If they're healthy, they don't care about the road. Hell, they're going to go play, and then Celtics are, okay, you go play. I mean Garland. You think Garland will play? You think where do you think they are at? You hear anything different than what others hear about injuries with Cleveland?
Well, I think we heard Garland, if it had been a regular season, they would have shut him down for 2 weeks. Uh, I haven't heard anything about Hunter or Mobley because we didn't have those games last night. We had OKC and
Yeah.
Boston and the Knicks, so we haven't heard anything to be honest with you. But the one thing we heard when we talked to them earlier in the week, if Garland would, if it was a regular season, they would have shut Garland down for 2 weeks, which will be the end of the series. No, I don't know about Mobley and Hunter, but my advice to Indiana and New York: win Game 3 and get this thing over with. Do not lose Game 3, because if you win game, if the team is down 2-zip, win Game 3, it's going to be so much pressure on them guys in Game 4 to get it done. They're going to be tight as hell out there, plain and simple.
My guy Nick is asking me for advice. He's got Christy Brinkley. She's a lot older than him, but he's in love. He's going downstairs to the Fox and Friends studio, try to take his shot with Christy Brinkley. You know, he's a young, really good-looking guy. Any advice you could give my man? He's hitting me up on, hey, I got to ask Charles for advice for trying to take a shot with the legend.
Well, number one, he got to see her in person to make sure she look as good as she used to. We can't go on old like how she used to look in the 80s. Okay, that's the first thing. Because I don't look like I did in the 80s or 90s. Let's get that out the way. I want to make that perfectly clear. So
yes.
he got to make sure, he got to see her in person, to see if she still looks great. Because she did look great in the 80s and 90s, but that was a long time ago now. That was a long time ago. Yes. So that's the first thing. He got to do some reconnaissance.
Yes.
Because like I say, hey,
yes,
my days of being skinny and good looking are over. You're going to get a plumpy Chuck right now. So the number one thing, he's got to go and see, let me see, before he goes about what she used to look like, he got to see what she looks like in 2025. That's the first thing he's got to do. But once that happens and she still looks great, shoot your shot, brother. It won't be the last, it won't be the first time, it won't be the last time you've been told no. But make sure make sure she still looks good.
Yeah, don't go buy those Sports Illustrated pictures in 1982.
That's right.
Like, don't.
Charles Barkley does not look like he did on the cover of Sports Illustrated anymore. Those days are over.
Shit, my shit was leaping in the 80s. My shit was feathered and leaping, and, you know.
Hey, I don't look anything like I did on the cover of Sports. I think I've been blessed to be on the cover. I've been on the cover of Sports Illustrated, I think 4 times, and it looked pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. 'Cause it was always, that's like one of your dreams in life is to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I think I've been on the cover. That's like when you were a young kid. Sports Illustrated used to be like the Bible, and I think I've been on the cover like 4 times, and it's always an honor. Is that still around?
I don't think so. Well, it is on. You know who tried to buy it? Junior Bridgeman tried to buy it. The late great Junior Bridgeman. I remember he was from my part of the world. The late great Junior Bridgeman tried to buy Sports Illustrated and looked at the deal. His business manager is a friend of mine and said, "This thing's a piece of shit. We're not buying it." But he was going to buy it.
Dan, that was when I got the news. So I wasn't great friends with Junior, but every time I met him, it was an honor and a privilege. He's one of the best people. And I tried to get the NBA. He should have spoken to every NBA team.
Yes.
Like once a year to teach them how to handle money, because his story is so unbelievable. It's interesting you say that, because I was talking to my agent. I'm gonna talk. I'd probably like to meet Junior's manager, because I want to do a documentary. My production company, I would love to do a documentary on his life, because I think it was so amazing. And I would love for the young kids to get a chance to know about him. This guy was so amazing. When he died, I went back and read a bunch of stories. And one of the stories that caught me, so he was obviously Black. So when they were giving him stores, they always gave him stores in like the worst neighborhoods. And he did one of the most amazing things. And I hope this is true, because I would love to do a documentary on his life. So he would go around to the poorest neighborhoods where his stores were. and he would pay for non-violent offenders to get out of jail, but only if they would come eat at his restaurants. And when I heard that story, I thought it was one of the most ingenuous, genius things that I'd ever heard from a businessman. And he was, and it's like I said, what did he do? Well, they gave him the stores in some of the worst neighborhoods, and he would go into the neighborhoods, and he would get nonviolent offenders out of jail. He would pay their bill, but in return, he would say, "You guys got to come to my restaurants and eat," because he wanted people to know he was invested in the community. And I was like, everybody should know that, because that's one of the most genius things I've ever heard from a businessman. I mean, it's crazy. Like, that is just pure genius.
It went from that, Charles, to Coca-Cola begging him to straighten their distribution. He was in my neighborhood. East Chicago is, you've been to Chicago enough. East Chicago is across the border. Gary, where I grew up, is next to East Chicago. And in 1971, Junior Bridgeman, Pete Turgovich, and Tim Stoddard were on the best team in the history of the state of Indiana, East Chicago Washington Senators. And Junior Bridgeman became my hero. He went to Louisville. Stoddard went to North Carolina State with David Thompson, won national championship. Pete Turgovich was a starting guard on UCLA with Bill Walton, won national championship. Junior and Alan Murphy got Louisville to the Final Four. Junior became my hero, my guy. I mean, my guy. So I followed him everywhere. And just so happens a good friend of mine, and I'm sending. You'll have a text from me. I'm sending you Bill's number. You do with it what you want, but he's Junior Bridgman, and he can put you in touch with everybody that Junior, everybody. Bill Paps can. But his story, you're so right. He should have been. He's the richest NBA guy ever. That other than maybe you, Mike, I don't know. There's like two guys that are richer than him ever, and he didn't do it playing.
But
he
the
did it
amazing
business
thing,
wise.
like Michael. Like, I think Michael is the richest, and I think LeBron and Magic are both billionaires also. But
Yeah.
what makes Junior's story so amazing, he only made $3 million in the NBA.
Yeah.
He only made $3 million in the NBA. And obviously, after taxes, that's 50% of that. But for him to turn that from just business acumen, for him to turn $3 million before taxes into $1.4 billion. I think that's what he was worth when he died. That means he's a tremendous businessman. And 80% of professional athletes across the board go broke. That number's probably changed. They make so much more money now. But back in the 80s and 90s and in the early 2000s, 80% of professional athletes went broke because they're shitty businessmen, and they got so many parasites in friends and family. Your family and friends are the worst when it comes to burning your money up. But for him to do that, I thought it would have been a great teaching tool for all the players in all the sports, guys on the back end who don't make 30, 40 million dollars. First of all, guys making 30, 40 million need business acumen also. But most of the people on teams don't make a lot of money. So I really want to do a documentary on his life so I can teach these young kids how to handle their money. I think it'd be awesome. I think it should, and not just basketball players. I think regular people out there should learn. Like, you don't have to make $100 million to be successful. If you make good business decisions and you're smart, like Junior was, I think it can be a great learning experience for these players and people in general.
You know what's amazing also about him? Not only all that, if you don't like Junior Bridgman, that's on you. Like, he wasn't a guy.
No. Hey, let me clarify that. If you don't like Junior Bridgman, you're just an asshole.
Okay.
Hey, seriously, if you don't like Junior Bridgman, you're just an asshole, because he's one of the most. Listen, he was a very terrific NBA player, but
terrific.
Every time I saw him, he was a gentleman, and you would not know he had. I think the last time I saw him was at a golf course down in Florida, and I always say, "Hey, man, I want to thank you for what you've accomplished, and I wish you would talk to today's players." And he just always give me a laugh because he was so unassuming. But man, if you don't like Junior Bridgeman, if you didn't like him, you were just an
You're an
asshole,
asshole.
plain and simple.
That's right. That is exactly right. Hey, I can't tell you, man. It's been a fastest hour of the week. Thank you so much, my man. I love watching you guys. It's every night. It's great, man. Thank you.
Hey man, hey Dan, anytime, brother. I got a lot of love and respect for you. So look like I'm gonna see you sometime in the next week.
If you come here and you want to play, I got it set up. You tell me, I'll
Plus,
take your fucking money.
Dan, what's your handicap?
Your money spins.
What's your handicap?
7.8. 7.8.
Okay. I'm an 8. So we'll play mano mano. So we travel for the conference finals. So I'll be right now. I'm thinking I'm gonna be in New York and Indy for the next 2 weeks. So we start traveling next week. So we were talking last night. New York got the home court by 1 game. So we're gonna probably start next weekend in New York, and then we'll be in Indy. Then we're there for like 4 or 5 days because you're there for the first 2 games and they spread out. So I'll be in Indy and I can't wait to kick your ass.
I'm in. And you bring Kenny, and I'll talk shit to him about beating his ass in 1984 with Michael in the NCAA fucking tournament, which you didn't make because you lost to Johnny Newman and Richmond. So I
made the tournament. I made the tournament. Don't forget
I
that
know,
now.
but you couldn't handle a little Johnny Newman and some little left-handed point guard. They kicked your ass, and I was so fucking
Beckwith
happy.
and Bill Fly.
Greg Beckwith,
right. Greg Beckwith and Bill Fly.
And they had that
You're
strong forward named Davis. We were so happy when we learned you and Chuck Person lost. We're like, fuck, we can handle Richmond, goddammit.
Hey, let me tell you something. I wanted Bobby Knight's ass so bad. I was up for like a week. I said, we got to win 1 game, and I get to exact my revenge on Bobby Knight. And Chuck Person came out and fucked up the whole game plan, jacking it up from everywhere. And we got down 20 and lost. We got it down to 2. But Chuck Person shot the ball every time instead of us dominating inside. I was so pissed because I wanted Indiana bad, brother.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not sure we wanted you. Like
no,
the only thing I
wanted y'all so bad. I was foaming at the mouth after the game. I'm not gonna lie. But thank God Richmond took care of y'all.